it's Jen from the Berrien History blog, and I'm walking in Crystal Springs Cemetery in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And this is Sheffield Road, and the Sheffield Road is named after the Sheffield family, William and Ella Sheffield, that big mausoleum there. And I've already written a little bit on them and researched them a little bit, but I'm here today to talk about this family here. This is the Hopkins family, and every time I show up here, I've been helping out, cleaning up the ravine, which is right over the top here. This is the bridge that you drive into the cemetery from the Napier entrance, and there's the decorative bridge right down there. The lady on the cross, if you look between, there she is, right between the two limbs of that tree. And right here is another statue. Can't see it from this vantage point, but I'll try to post another picture of it. That's the topless angel, we call her. Only because we can't find the top half of the statue yet. We're hoping it's down there somewhere, but anyway, this is the Hopkins family, and I've always just loved this big ball. I don't know if it's because I've always been kind of an athlete. I just love round things. So here you go. It's the Hopkins family. This was William and Sarah Hopkins, and their two sons are buried with them, with their two wives. But William Thatcher Hopkins here, father. Sarah Olney was her maiden name, Hopkins. They both died in 1897, which that's kind of intriguing by itself, because sometimes that happens in history. The couples die close together. They can't live without one another. How romantic, huh? But oftentimes it's just like, diseases. They just were so contagious and they died of the same thing sometimes. So in this case here, William Thatcher Hopkins, and he went by the nickname Thatch, which is kind of a cool name. I like that name, Thatch. He was born in 1830 in Covert, New York, and he operated a dray here in Benton Harbor, and he lived at 118 Washington Street. Now in August of 1896, he would have been about 65 or so years old. My Berrien Springs math doesn't always work. He stepped on a rusty nail. Who hasn't done that, right? But in an era before the tetanus shot, that's not good. So this laid him up for a long time, until February of 1897. Excuse me. So he then he got a bad case of indigestion. And that just spread to a bunch of other sicknesses and diseases and complications that he never did fully recover from. So meanwhile, his wife, Sarah, she died March, I think it says on there March 6, 1897. And that probably was about the same time that poor William was laid up as well. And the worst thing about his illness that I read, it was in his obituary, and it had to be awful, but he had the hiccups for 11 straight days, which, if you can imagine, I know how uncomfortable it is to have the hiccups, like, that you just can't get rid of over, a half hour or so. And 11 straight days he suffered with the hiccups. So finally the hiccups went away, but he died anyway a few days after that, March 29th, 1897. So she died of brain fever at 61 years old. He was about 65, 66. And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of sad. But they had both their funerals at 118 Washington Street. And their sons were, this is probably why they had such a nice big headstone, is because they had a very successful professional family. And George Hopkins was one of their sons. and he was a Mason. You can see the symbol, and his wife was Order of the Eastern Star, which is the female version of the Freemasons. And their other son, Fred, now George was a druggist, and Fred Hopkins here, and his wife, Hattie, he was also a Mason, but it doesn't look like she was Order of the Eastern Star unless they forgot her little symbol there. Fred Hopkins was mayor of, oh, look at this. Sorry to interrupt, but look what we got in the ravine. Can you see it? There's a big turkey. Wow. That's something. I'm going to have to show this to Ron and Kathy. This is awesome. We were just down there cleaning up. We were. What is he doing? Anyway, get a little live television, folks. You never know what's going to happen. Oh, he's moving. Anyway, Fred Hopkins was the mayor. He was the first mayor of Benton Harbor, and he was nearly assassinated. I wrote a story about it because Chuck Jager from the Morton House Museum led me on to this little tidbit of a story, and he said that would make a good article for your blog. So I did write an article about it. Really kind of interesting. Fred's Fred's is his sister, which also would be Hopkins. Yeah, I think it was his sister, was really involved in the Morton House, putting together those scrapbooks for the Women's Federation Club. Anyway, it's such a small world, it really is. Where'd our turkey go? Is he still down there? Anyway, that's a little bit of interesting information on the Hopkins family. I do have pictures of Fred, and I have pictures of George. I don't have any pictures of Thatch or Sarah, unfortunately, but if I come across any before I put this video together, I'll include them as well. And like I said, this is Sheffield Street, right above the ravine, just across the bridge. Right here is the fireman monument from the Your Opera House fire from 1892, and the fireman that died in that. So anyway, there's all sorts of interesting stories here in Crystal Springs Cemetery. It's such a beautiful cemetery, and so full of prominent, very interesting people, including the Sheffields right here. But I gotta get home. I gotta change my shoes, and I hope you enjoy listening to me ramble about history. And have a good one. Bye-bye. All right. Hey, it's me again with a little correction to my video. The Fred S. Hopkins, who was the son of Thatch, was not the first mayor of Benton Harbor. He was a mayor of Benton Harbor, but I was confusing him with this guy. And that's Fred Hobbs, who was the first mayor of Benton Harbor, who was nearly assassinated. So anyway, names very similar, Fred Hopkins and Fred Hobbs, but this mayor is actually buried in Morton Hill Cemetery. So different guy. This is the guy who has a sister who was involved with the Women's Federation over at Morton House too. Different family. I thought that was too good to be true when I came across that name. But anyway, so my bad. Fred Hopkins. Fred Hopkins is the one who we're talking about here. And that is this guy right here. And he died in 1936, Benton Harbor. Thanks for listening.